Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the garment industry has cautiously approved Budget 2026, seeing it as a start in the right direction towards improving investor confidence and reviving export growth. $100 million funding planned to improve Sri Lanka's macroeconomic stability has been approved by the Asian Development Bank. The program's goal is to enhance public spending management. Colombo stocks continue to rise today. The ASPI crossed the landmark 23,500 point threshold for the first time during today's trading session. And growing optimism that the US government shutdown may soon be resolved helped Asian markets open on a positive note today.
From Studio 24C, here's Prashansa Gunawardena.
Good evening and welcome to the Nightly Business Report on Other Derana News Channel. Budget 2026 has received cautious approval from the apparel industry, which views it as a positive step toward revitalizing export growth and boosting investor confidence, provided the government ensures consistent implementation.
The Joint Apparel Association Forum has welcomed Budget 2026's focus on export-led growth, investment facilitation and macroeconomic stability. Draft emphasized the long-term impact of the budget will depend on consistent and effective policy implementation. The forum highlighted measures on digitalization, trade facilitation and enhanced capital allowances as key to boosting competitiveness and attracting foreign investment. Reforms to the Inland Revenue Department, the introduction of RAMIS 3.0 and the rollout of e-invoicing were praised as important steps to improve efficiency in the post-SVAT era. Draft Secretary-General Johan Lawrence noted that policy consistency and clarity are essential to building confidence in the export sector. The association also stressed the importance of aligning policies with sustainability goals, market access requirements, and stable energy and logistics costs.
Sri Lanka's ambitious target of 7% annual GDP growth by 2032 has been called unrealistic by analysts. Speaking on Get Well with Mahesh Johnny, experts highlighted structural challenges in the economy, fiscal constraints, and global uncertainties that make the goal highly unlikely to be achieved.
So if you take the total revenue lines, if you take our national revenue, we end up on an annual basis net after inflows and outflows with about a deficit of about $1.4 billion, $1.5 billion. Now that has happened over the last 7 years, 6 to 7 years from even 2014, 15 right up to that point. And then in 2022, because of the particular package of the IMF, due to the contraction, we have managed to save some amount of money, and that deficit figure is about 1.4 billion surplus now. That's what you accumulate, and ultimately that goes into the reserve number that we are looking at. So if you take the cash flows and then you take our net international investment position, which is your balance sheet technically, where you trade with the external sector and the external sector trades with you, the net liabilities on the national balance sheet as at today, as at I think it was June 2025, the numbers that I have, our net negative net worth is about $52 billion, right? Which after all the IMF programs, 17 packages that we have received, plus the debt restructuring that we have gone through, there is a marginal reduction of about $1.5 billion. Now my question is, Mahesh, is it worth it that we have contracted the economy, contracted growth, contracted capital investment, increased our debt servicing? Remember, our debt servicing amount is almost 50% of our total revenue. So which comes to Shiran's point he was making.
So let's look at the budget. What interested me most is the kind of, at least the rhetorical commitment to, as Dr. Kenneth said, industrialization, manufacturing. But there was also a lot of talk about public investment. And from the first budget onwards, there's been a nominal increase. It was about 3.2%, I think, and now it's about 4%, right? The public investment. That is concerning when you pair it with what their actual medium-term growth target is. So they've said they're going to try and maintain about a 4% public investment, but they want to achieve 7% of economic growth.
In 2032.
In 2032, in the medium term. And mathematically, that does not make sense to me. They need to achieve something like 37 to 38% of GDP in terms of investment, right? If you look at the...
Is it FDIs?
No, total investment.
Gross fixed capital formation.
Yeah, gross fixed formation. And, well, there's this concept in economics called the incremental capital output ratio. So you divide the investment, the public investment, the total investment by the growth. So you figure out how much investment you need to get a given amount of growth. When you do that, you come to a number that's about 37%, which is 10% higher than what we are currently doing. Now, if the government is only investing 4%, that means another 33% has to come from the private sector. So that's basically 90% of your investment requirement has to come from the private sector.
The Asian Development Bank has approved a $100 million financing package to strengthen Sri Lanka's macroeconomic stability. The program aims to improve public expenditure management, enhance revenue mobilization, and encourage private sector participation. It will support the development of a legal framework for public-private partnerships and mobilize additional climate finance and private investment. The initiative also focuses on improved transparency, accountability and efficiency in state-owned enterprises. ADB Country Director Tafakumi Kadono emphasized that the program will promote sustainable growth and a predictable investment climate. Measures include streamlining budgetary processes, optimizing resource allocation, and strengthening domestic and international tax compliance. The Tea Research Institute of Sri Lanka marks 100 years of scientific service with the International Tea Symposium 2025, bringing global experts together to discuss innovation, sustainability, and the future of the tea industry.
The Tea Research Institute of Sri Lanka was established in 1925 by the British Planters Association to tackle scientific and technical challenges in tea cultivation. Over the past century, TRISL has grown into a national and international center of excellence, advancing research in soil and plant nutrition, breeding, pest management, biotechnology, climate adaptation, processing, and product diversification. Its pioneering work has strengthened the global reputation of Ceylon tea, helping it maintain a premium position in international markets. The Institute has introduced high-yielding cultivars, promoted eco-friendly and climate-resilient practices, and developed value-added tea innovations benefiting both large plantations and smallholder growers. TRISL's research has expanded over the decades, incorporating modern advances in molecular biology, genomics, and environmental sustainability.
Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome to the Nightly Business Report. Colombo stocks extended gains today, with the all share price index posting modest increases and the S&P/SL 20 showing upward momentum. During today's trading session, the ASPI surpassed the historic 23,500 point mark for the first time, highlighting strong market performance at the Colombo Stock Exchange. For further insights on this, we have Salama Sanoon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. The Colombo Bourse opened the week on a positive note with high volumes being traded as retail investors showcased increased activity. Consequently, the all-share price index gained 164 points and closed at 23,503. The index successfully conquered the 23,500 milestone while simultaneously registering a new record high. Banking sector counters such as Hatton National Bank, Sampath Bank, Commercial Bank and National Development Bank alongside Dialog Axiata were the key positive drivers for the day. Market turnover stood at 7.5 billion rupees, which is 5% higher than the monthly average of 7.2 billion rupees. The capital goods sector led market activity, accounting for 25% of total turnover, followed by the banking and food, beverage and tobacco sectors, which collectively contributed 34%. The top three price gainers were SMB Finance non-voting, Renuka Foods voting and Renuka Agri Foods, while the top three price losers were Senkadagala Finance, Colombo Dockyard and Asia Asset Finance preference shares. Thank you.
The Colombo Stock Exchange opened the week on a positive note, supported by improving investor sentiment and optimism over Sri Lanka's economic fundamentals, through global uncertainties could temper gains. For further insights on this, we have Shana Kanagaratnam from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Prashansa. The all-share price index extended its upward trajectory from the previous week, surpassing the 23,500 level at the start of the current week. Market sentiment has remained broadly positive over the past several weeks, reflecting sustaining buying interest. This upward momentum is anticipated to persist in the near term, although intermittent profit-taking is likely to occur during certain trading sessions. As this week marks the final reporting period for corporate results for the quarter ended September 2025, market movements are expected to be influenced primarily by earnings announcements. Trading activity is projected to remain within the range of approximately Rs 5 to 6 billion per day. From a sectoral perspective, investor focus is expected to remain contented in the banking, capital goods and diversified financial sectors. Thank you.
Gold prices surged 2% today, reaching a two-week high as weaker than expected US economic data heightened expectations of a Federal Reserve rate cut next month. Spot gold rose to $4,079.49 per ounce, its highest level since October 27th, while December US gold futures gained 1.9% to $4,087.80 per ounce. A softer dollar added further support, making bullion more attractive to international buyers, as the dollar index fell 0.1%. Last week's data revealed job losses in the US for October, particularly in government and retail sectors. Additionally, businesses cutting costs and adopting artificial intelligence contributed to a surge in announced layoffs, further fueling market caution and support for gold. Oil prices rose today as optimism grew over a potential end to the US government shutdown, boosting demand prospects in the world's largest oil consumer. Brent crude futures climbed 0.74% to $64.10 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude rose 0.84% to $60.25 a barrel. The US shutdown, now in its 40th day, could end soon as the Senate moves toward a vote to reopen the federal government. Analyst Tony Sicamo said the reopening would restore pay for 800,000 federal workers and restart programs that support consumer confidence and spending. Brent and WTI had fallen about 2% last week, marking their second consecutive weekly decline amid fears of a supply glut. OPEC Plus recently agreed to a slightly increased output in December, but paused further hikes in the first quarter to avoid oversupplying the market. The Sri Lankan rupee strengthened slightly against the US dollar today compared to last Friday, according to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The dollar's buying rate edged down from 301 rupees and 10 cents to 301 rupees and 9 cents, but the selling rate also fell from 308 rupees and 65 cents to 308 rupees and 57 cents. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee is performing against other major global currencies. Break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. SoftLogic Glowmark celebrates its 7th anniversary with the launch of its new strategic vision, Better Life, aiming to transform the brand into a wellness-focused, purpose-driven retail experience that inspires better living at home.
SoftLogic Glowmark's new strategy, Better Life, emphasizes creating a curated and functional retail experience focused on wellness and quality. The phrase combines Sinhala and English meaning bringing a better life home, highlighting the brand's commitment to enhancing everyday living. The initiative reflects a shift from traditional shopping toward empowering customers to make conscious and meaningful choices. Glowmark aims to move from a premium-focused model to one centered on purpose, balance and inspiration. The brand plans to integrate wellness-aligned products and services that promote healthier lifestyles for households. This transformation marks a significant step in redefining modern retail in Sri Lanka. By blending convenience with conscious living, Glowmark seeks to set a new benchmark for customer experience and engagement.
Siapa Finance PLC has once again been recognized as the best employer brand for the third consecutive year at the Employer Branding Awards 2025. The award highlights the company's commitment to employee engagement, retention and creating an inspiring workplace culture. Chairman Sumit Kumarathunga stated that building trust among employees has been a key pillar of the company's success over the past 20 years. The ceremony, organized by the Employee Branding Institute, India, in collaboration with the World HRD Congress, was held at the Taj Samudra Hotel, Colombo. Managing Director Ananda Senaviratna emphasized that the positive employee branding drives sustainable growth and long-term value creation. Chief Human Resources Officer Prasad Udugampala added that the recognition reflects Siapa Finance's dedication to authenticity, inclusivity and continuous improvement. Hemas Holdings PLC reported a strong performance for the quarter ended September 2025, with earnings rising 36.6% year-on-year to 2.1 billion rupees, driven by robust revenue growth across core segments and effective cost management.
Hemas Holdings PLC operating profit rose 13% to 3.5 billion rupees, while net interest costs fell 78.9%, benefiting lower borrowings and easing interest rates. The group accelerated its strategic growth with a conditional agreement to acquire a leading consumer products firm in Kenya, marking its first expansion into East Africa. Hemas Hospitals also began expanding its Thalawattugoda facility, aiming to offer specialized tertiary care services in cardiology, neurology and nephrology. Investor confidence in the company has surged, with Hemas shares appreciating 110.6% year-on-year, outperforming major local indices. Hemas continues to expand across healthcare, learning and mobility sectors while focusing on innovation, operational excellence and regional expansion to sustain long-term growth.
Galadari Hotels PLC has announced a major increase in its refurbishment investment for the iconic Galadari Hotel in Colombo, raising the budget from $33.5 million to $48.5 million as part of its extensive modernization plan.
The new figure marks a $15 million rise from the company's previously approved investment of $33.5 million. The additional funding will be jointly provided by Mashreq Bank PSC of the United Arab Emirates and the parent company Galadari Brothers Co. LLC. A supplementary agreement to this effect was signed with the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka. This follows an earlier agreement with the BOI in November 2023 and a formal board approval granted on the 2nd of October this year. The expanded investment reflects the group's confidence in Sri Lanka's tourism recovery and long-term hospitality potential. Galadari Hotels aims to modernize its facilities and strengthen its competitive standing in Colombo's dynamic hotel sector.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian markets opened on a strong note today, lifted by growing hopes that the US government shutdown may soon be resolved. The US Senate moved closer to a bipartisan deal after Majority Leader John Thune reported positive progress over the weekend. Japan's Nikkei 225 surged 490 points or 0.98% to 50,766, continuing Friday's rebound amid renewed optimism across Asia. Investors are recovering from last week's AI-driven tech sell-off with easing shutdown concerns, boosting market confidence. South Korea's KOSPI jumped 112 points or 2.8% to 4,065, marking one of its strongest single-day gains in weeks. India's Sensex rose 203 points to 83,419, while the Nifty 50 gained 59.5 points to 25,552, reflecting steady market performance. Despite a rise in Q3 bookings and meeting profit expectations, IAG shares amid concerns about the US economy affecting travel.
IAG shares flew down as much as a tenth in morning trade on Friday. The British Airways owner reported operating profit largely in line with expectations and noted a rise in bookings, but investors were concerned as IAG became the latest airline group to flag weakness in the transatlantic market. Travel from Europe to the US has dropped since Donald Trump took office, with policies some see as anti-trade and anti-foreigner. IAG announced it hit $2.4 billion in profit for the 3 months ending in September, up 2% from a year earlier. But the share fall wiped out as much as $2.5 billion off its market share, and the stock was on track for its biggest one-day drop in 3 years. The group also owns Iberia, Vueling and Aer Lingus. It said its passenger load factor, a measure of how efficiently it fills seats, fell in all regions, while passenger unit revenue, another key metric measuring average ticket revenue per passenger, dropped over 7% for the North Atlantic region. Despite this, the group said it had booked 30% of its tickets for the first quarter. IAG's CEO also said he wasn't concerned about possible transatlantic weakness dragging into the coming year. European airlines have given cautiously optimistic outlooks for transatlantic travel into next year. Many believe the worst dip took place earlier this year, when Trump announced sweeping tariffs.
Thank you for watching the Nightly Business Report on Other Derana News channel. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076805793. We will see you again tomorrow with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuri will join you next with Other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Prashansa Gunawardena. Thank you for watching and have a good night.